Addiction thinks in circles, whereas invention thinks in spirals.
Yes. Yes.
And I love it. And spiral is not one dot, it's actually one seed becoming bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
So I'm grateful for that. And then two, just the pain just reminding me like this body is so amazing.
Where else can you go other than inside? And when you're so almost like forced to face yourself, you find lots of love.
Ooh. 13. Is it lucky or unlucky?
Aww.
Let's talk about 13. Just let's talk about the number. Do you have any like ideas on that or anything personal?
Well, I did when I worked on cruise ships before. The cruise ships don't have the 13th floor
Yeah.
nor the 13th room, and they call it a superstition or a belief.
Yeah.
So instead of thinking about the 13, I thought about the superstition.
Okay.
And people believing through tarot cards and everything else, as he says, like why do we put such a weight on a number unnecessarily? Where is it coming from? Is it doing any good or bad to you to be so superstitious about something?
Yeah.
You?
Interesting. I had in high school, my senior year of high school, I decided to become an athlete, like all of a sudden. And I went out for powerlifting and track, and I made it to the state meet in both, and I placed 13th at both. And I was like, I was hoping to like, win or whatever. So 13 to me, it felt like a slap in the face. And I always kind of think back on it, like it's just kind of to me like the number thing is showing up as a reminder or like a note, like source left me a note, like a love letter or something.
Do you feel the number as another dimension?
No. No, it doesn't feel no. It just seems like a number to me.
So it's just a representation, symbolic representation of a story behind it.
In my experience.
Hmm. I love number 3.
Yeah.
5 and 7, so all odd numbers are my numbers. And I don't know why. I just love it. So if we have dimensions, we don't know if we do. And as some say that some dimensions are geometric and then symbolic, there's a lot of symbols. It's like there must be an energy in it. So I think.
Yes. Well, and if you've read Blavatsky, 1 into 3, and we talked about this in I forget the gene key, but that there is no 2.
Oh,
Remember that city, how it's always 3 because it's the
one
relationship?
1 plus 1 is 3. Yeah.
Yeah. And then 3 evolves into, the Kabbalistic tradition, like numbers and geometry forming this existence. And it's an interesting dive. I haven't really taken the dive yet. I've only heard other people talk about it, and I'm like, yeah, I'm familiar.
I almost feel like we're getting ready for Blavatsky's season.
Yeah.
Or Hermetics. I just looked at them the other day and I was like, I'm touching them slowly with the bugs. They're all stuck there. I have a little mini pile like it. And they're all like the individuality of spirit or ice, like all these different like esoteric teachings. And I'm like, just touching them. Like, I'm coming. I will be there. We're like small little prints with the thick books of 1,000 pages. It's like a lot of work, but it's exciting.
Yeah.
So what do you feel? What did you feel when you read 13?
To me, The ahas came in in the gift, and then mostly in the city actually. And our two older boys decided to have a tantrum at the same time. So I was trying to get the reading done before our talk. So like we cram our days together, you know. So I was holding our almost 3-year-old in my lap, and he's like squirming out and fighting me, pinching me. And I'm just sitting here like reading the city, and I'm like, oh, this is great. I was like smiling ear to ear. And he's just like having a big fit. So, and I was like, of course, it's ironic that I would have a child in a tantrum reading about empathy. But yeah, I'm excited. This to me, I was hoping that we might actually spend less time on the shadow. I'm opening to whatever happens, but maybe we'll spend less time on the shadow and more time on the gift in the city. Who knows?
Maybe. All right. So let me ask you this. Do you listen or do you hear?
Mm-hmm. I'm getting used to what listening feels like. There's a certain intention and intensity that comes with it. So historically, I've just been a hearer at best. Usually, I just like ignore most noise altogether.
Can you explain what that difference is for you?
Hmm. It feels like late, like hmm. So if I show up somewhere and someone wants to tell me the sob story of the day, that's something they're going through, they're really struggling with, and I could hear someone and I could jot down a summary of everything that they said. I could repeat it back to them, or I could listen to someone and ironically just discern what message is actually coming through and maybe where they're being influenced. Like hard to describe, but it almost feels like in listening that there's space being created and then like puzzle pieces come together on their own, whether but when I'm just hearing, it's like literally like just memorization.
You mean opposite. When you're hearing, the space is created. When you're listening, it's just like tasks.
Mm, no, I don't believe so. No.
Okay. So did you hear me or did you listen to me 5 minutes ago
About your story with the person at the warehouse?
about my
I think
tantrum?
I was mostly hearing you.
So what did you hear
I
rather than
heard
what you listened?
I heard the story that you told and the state that you're in primarily being communicated. Whereas if I like to me listening is like, okay, I'm gonna take the time that's needed and I'm gonna allow you like it would probably feel uncomfortable. Like we get to this point of like okay, let's carry on. And I'm like, no, no, no. Like go a little more. And often like listening creates the space where you're like if there's a problem that needs to be solved, you're the one that will kind of find it through. And I felt this with you early on in Genekeys, where I'm just like I'm blabbing and you're just being present and listening. And all of a sudden I find my way back to this grounded, peaceful place just through your ability to be present with me in that moment.
Yeah, which leads back to we all just want to be heard.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the subject rather than whoever has the emotional charge that wants to discharge, we want to be heard. But the listening versus hearing is like there's totally different energies with it. You're right.
Yeah, and maybe I am flipping. Am I flipping the words?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Uh, but I knew what you meant. It was just
Okay.
like, I think you're flipping the words. It's like, if you're listening, it's like you hear everything, you can write it down. It's very much, okay, I'm here. Go, keep going. This is what you did, and exactly this, that, and here, rather than hearing where you're actually finding the way
Okay.
through it
Okay.
and reading much, hearing much deeper. Where is this coming from? Who is talking? What are you feeling? And very much having the backstage of the visibility of how everything is designed.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
So thank you for hearing. But can I just add something?
Yes.
When we feel heard rather than listened to, based on just 10 minutes ago, there is a level of release.
Mm-hmm.
There is a level of release of the emotional tension.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
it's very different from when I know you're just listening because I'm blabbing, but rather than when you're really trying to see me, I
Mm-hmm.
see my soul. It's like I'm like having a vulnerable moment, or like emotional, spiritual, I don't know how, like, again, graph is in my mind a lot, but having emotional charge that it's tapping into the portal. And I don't feel safe, which I am emotional. I am vulnerable. And I'm looking someone to hold my hand as I'm tapping, 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 and I might break through. But you feel the strength and release to do it in a lighter way, or keep going, whatever direction that you're at, because the hold of the space and the energy with it, when you're hearing and knowing and believing and trusting, it's like the path to go through of the release of a complete discharge is completely different.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful. If we can give them, this is when I wrote that in a hug. It's like sometimes it's like you just hug and you keep silent, but being present there and plus hearing is like what really gives God does a trick, rather than just doing it because I have to do it and I'm like, okay, I gotta go really fast.
Yeah. Yeah. Powerful. Powerful.
So the shadow of discord that cannot help you get rid of your past
Mm-hmm.
ever. I don't know why I feel like as we progress through the genekeys, they're just like heavier and heavier. And both you and I are in 50s, and I'm like, oh my God, by the time we get to 50s, it's gonna be
Yeah.
like a cosmic heavy.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you think humans always forever in their life try to escape the past?
Can you ask that question again?
Do we or do you think that we're trying all our life to escape the past that is haunting us,
Um,
our own past?
I think that's a common characteristic of the human experience. Yes.
So this shadow helps us not escape it ever.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
Imagine. Imagine having a past that you're not proud of, that you can't escape if you have this gene key.
Oh, if you have it. Yeah.
Your past made you who you are now. No? You're
Yeah.
fabulous.
Yeah. There's So what you're pointing to is like the unforgettability, the inability to run away from completely. So it's like we arrive at heaven's door and we're shown immediately the shit that we carry behind us. It's like turn around, look at it.
If you let's hope you don't have this shadow, but almost like there's no way we don't have a little glimpse of this shadow either way.
Yeah. Well, in some traditions, the Bardo, which I think is Buddhist, the bardo is a state where your karma is cleansed before you attach to a new body. So you're having to experience positives and negatives, everything that has karmic weight, experience it to the fullest extent with like complete present awareness. Unlike what we did, because if in reality, like we're making these mistakes because we're not fully aware. If we were fully aware, we wouldn't do something to harm another person, as an example, because that person is ourselves. So it's like, it's an interesting concept, like the bardo, like you're going in and then you get this awareness, like unity happens. And then they're like, but we have to clean your karma now that you have the awareness, we're going to clean your karma. You're going to experience it knowing what the truth is. And then you just feel it so much more.
But isn't it another concept that we just need to justify our feelings for? Grief, scare, fear, loss, ending, survival. But all these concepts, like all of it is just a conceptual definition, so it makes us feel better.
Pacifiers, yeah.
Is it true? Is bardo true?
We'll find out.
How do we know what's true?
To me, when you speak of truth, capital T truth, it comes back to experience and not concepts.
So many experiences equal many truths. Or is there only one?
Many experiences equal many truths. And what I'm pointing to or speaking on is an experience where you have a sense, like an experiential experience. How do I say this? Where you have a sense of truth. You know, it could be just an awareness that we're not actually separate beings living a separate existence. So to me, that's what I mean by experience, not just like I drove to work today, that was an experience. I mean like an experience that widened or broadened your perspective.
Non-ordinary experience.
Yeah.
Like out of like transpersonal experience.
Yes.
That gave you a glimpse that something else other than this reality exists.
Yes.
Do you think it's ultimate truth, finite truth? Or just what you're capable of feeling and comprehending now?
Right. And the trick is, can you experience it and then we bring it back and try to conceptualize it, verbalize it, and communicate it. And then the truth is diluted.
Is the point of that truth then to bring it here?
Is the point? I don't know.
Oh my God, Eric, we're going down. I just pressed the elevator on, I don't know, minus 75th floor.
Again, to speak on like the intention behind capital T truth, right? We can conceptualize what it is, but it's just the experience.
We can only conceptualize it that much because in this reality and realm and our human earthly body experience, we can only do so much.
Mm-hmm.
The rest we have to exit the body, exit the planet, exit the earth, and imagine, which we don't know, never will know, maybe. So we live in illusion.
Mm-hmm.
to help us cope with whatever that we're coping here down to the earth, because gravity is pulling us back down to ground us. Anyway, you're meant to be here. You're meant to be here. Come back down to. Okay.
So can I bring up a word and just see how it feels related to
Yeah.
this topic? Stillness.
Body or mind? It feels like a tunnel. There's just air flowing and you're flying through the air. It's like a tube.
What's at either end of the tube?
There's no ending.
There's no end. It's just a tube.
It never ends.
Is there a beginning?
Now. Now until never. But why? To not think and not experience?
What's your question? Why?
Why stillness? Why the tube from now until never or forever or never?
Why is that part of our experience?
Why aiming for it?
Oh, I don't know. I just said stillness. So your mind went to, we should aim for it.
Where did they come from?
If it doesn't have a beginning, then why would it have an origin?
But it must have the beginning, no?
Well, in our dimension, that's all we know is beginning and end.
But we're here. We're not there.
Have you had an experience of timelessness?
Every time we do the genekeys.
Yeah. So the temptation is in that state to define edges, boundaries, origins, deaths, perspectives, even like saying something to attain to, like who is the one? True stillness is like we're not talking, we're not conceptualizing, we're not asking questions. So it's a good exercise and even a good mantra, like stillness. Just say it. Let it emanate from God knows where to however long it is.
Do you find the stillness in your mind too? Complete
No,
stillness.
in my mind. Not the mind that I know, at least.
So you can't like shut up. Like just go like,
Oh, it's that would almost that almost implies it would respond to like a request, right? And to me, like the mantra or art or a dance, something that like this talk gets you away from it completely. It's almost like a trick being played on the mind where it doesn't know. Because as soon as it knows, like KNOWS, then it loses it. And with experience, we know, which is like GNO, pointing to the experiential wisdom of what it is. And those two things are different. And the GNO for me doesn't occur anywhere in my mind.
Yet.
This feels like we're in the city already, but we're not.
All right, what you got for shadow?
Okay.
Discord.
I find so 13 tied with 30. To me, that was like the big weight of this one. The ring of purification. So discord and desire are heavily linked.
Mm.
The connection between your ability to listen is weighed against the raw force of your human desire. Um, and it's linked to various functions and malfunctions in our gut. So symbolically, one might draw a connection between how effectively we human beings process our past and how effectively our body eliminates waste. The force of human desire, found in the 30th shadow, usually outweighs our ability to listen to our past experience, and this leads us once again down roads that do not serve humanity as a whole. So this to me took a very physiological bent, the shadow, like in how it relates to my experience, where my 30th shadow is very, very strong. It's not part of my profile, but it's like if when I read it, I cry immediately. It's like super heavy for me. This desire, I've always desired strongly. And
Is it
then
related to which desire is related to?
oh, just many um desire for more, desire for experience, desire for sex, desire for food, desire for, I mean, just name it. It's just desire. It's just like the hungry ghost, right?
Mm. Hmm.
Been a big part of my experience, and interesting how it's connected with our body's ability to eliminate waste because uh on a personal note, like I've had coming and going constipation throughout most of my life, and I was like thinking about today, and I'm like, constipation, okay, the inability to process the past because my desire is so strong. The desire is future based, forward looking, and then discord is linked with what I can't look at, or I can't, it's like I can't fully, if it's tied in the gut, like I'm not able to digest it all. And I've had issues with digestion and with processing waste, and I'm like, wow, it makes so much sense. But in states of desirelessness, physiologically, there's no block for the body. Like the body can do all of its functions effectively. It's only in when we're not at ease, when we're in dis-ease, that the body begins to malfunction and have issues. And it ties in with the
Anus.
the anus, yeah, being so tight and restrictive and reactive.
That's interesting. When you is your past, is it connected to specific things in your past that makes your biology completely dysfunction? Like stop functioning properly.
I can only guess right now because I'm just getting into 13. Um, and I think this is this is where having a mirror of someone else's perspective would be really helpful, I think. But
Mm.
my initial guess is that I've rejected elements of my past just as a function of the experiences I went through, the trauma and whatever else, and used desire as a means of numbing and creating something else, or chasing, having an escape mechanism.
In the fifth, we touch base on living in the past and living in a future, and swinging the pendulum constantly until we realize we're stuck there. We have to come back here.
Mm-hmm.
And I just recalled it because I just reviewed it, and you're absolutely right. We almost forget the good stuff we did in the past, and we're kind of drawn to what went wrong. Automatically, we think like that. I don't know why, but we will recall the things that we should have done better, which makes us get into the past and constantly live and remember and recall and remember and recall. And because of that, like heaviness, we think the future will be brighter. And I can see the link between the desiring something different because this you're so chaotic and from the past, it makes no, it makes you want to be better and elevate yourself. But yet the two just makes us stuck, really, really stuck. And yeah, actually, I highlighted the same exact thing as you said. The ability to be weighted, to listen is weighted against the raw force of your human desire. And right under it says how you process that on a biological level. It's insane how our bodies are so attuned to not only our mind, but you're talking to like what we attract, what we feel, how we sleep, where did we go during the night, where did we come back, who are we talking to, like total information overload. It has nothing to do with who said what. It has to do with where did you go, the layers of you that left or maybe are not even here.
Right.
Hence so one of my genekeys did say similar thing related to the biology and to the guts. And I started noticing that every time I'm in an environment that I'm not supposed to, business dinners, and I really don't want to go, it's smoky, it's like not my vibe, my stomach just gets swollen like this.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, girl, you're so smart. Get the fuck out of here, right? So it's like, get on. It's telling me it just gets like so bubbly. It's full of gas, and I don't have problems like that other than in the wrong environment, which is killing my entire gut flora, Wow.
Yeah, if you don't listen.
Yeah.
You're like,
Sometimes even with
quiet
the
down. Well, typically, and this is what happens. Carly and I see this because she mostly works with clients on a health basis, physiologically, and like, what are your emotional eating habits, this sort of thing. So if you have like this, or at least what I've done, I have like this inflammation in the gut of like, I'm not supposed to be somewhere, or I'm not digesting properly what's happening. And then what I do is I'm like, all right, pour on top until it quiets down. Like just, and then it leads to more emotionally choiced foods like sugars or salty snacks, oils, things that are heavy to process. So it's ironic that in a moment where my body can't process, I turn to foods that are even more difficult. It's like I have to overload it to get myself to this state of inflammation and pain and disease where I have to take the break then. Like there's nothing else I can do. I'm practically vomiting or whatever else happens at that point.
Yeah, and it's all based on the emotional state of mind.
Yeah.
So let's
Psychological, emotional. Yeah.
Speaking of emotions. Are we not? I don't understand mine. I just know there are many and me, and they change and they evolve and they mutate and they're there. No matter what I do to numb them, they're still going to beautifully be there waiting to tickle, to,
Yeah.
to charge.
Currently, if you don't mind sharing, what emotions are present
At this moment or 30 minutes ago,
this moment?
I feel a release. And I think I felt release because I was heard.
Mm.
And the discharge is very visible. I feel calm.
Mm.
And I feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
I feel accepted.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel judged.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel looked down or up, neutral when it comes to that. Yeah, it was just an experience. And I feel very different from 30 minutes ago.
Mm. Do you notice Romeo reflecting your emotional states in some ways?
He is needy more.
Mm.
He
Yeah.
literally wants to be around me when I am disturbed.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they feel?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think they feel, or is it because everybody says that they feel? Apparently, they don't have any emotion.
I mean, maybe, but there's definitely proof of like I was saying earlier, this concept called morphic resonance with animals, clear as
Mm.
day. Like just having a knowing. So it might not be feeling, but it might be a knowing. And then knowing might lead him to try to get you to slow down or some, whatever it is. He's trying to
But
help you, save you.
can we take a step further? The fact that they're cloned for human to to soothe human emotions,
Hmm.
does it still is it still the same? Does it apply?
Yeah. I mean, you feel you can see it, right?
The fact that they're cloned to soothe human emotions.
Yeah.
Booby. Wookie somewhere.
But
So stupid. I love them.
he's not a robot. Like, is that what you're
No, the someone designed them for emotional states of humans.
uh-huh.
So we can project, we can tell them, oh, you're sad, but they have no idea what that means. We
Hmm.
created that emotion for them.
Yeah.
We think they're happy. All they want is just food and shelter. That's all he cares.
Yeah. Have you heard the study done with dogs that have human-like diseases like cancer or tumors?
Mm-mm.
It's heavily linked to, and I don't know, I haven't read the research, so forgive me for just anecdotally referencing this. But it's heavily linked to the psychological states and emotional states of the owners.
Ooh,
Yeah. And in fact, dogs on their own don't manifest any cancer.
ooh. So it's actually our radiance. We're
Yeah.
radioactive. Well,
Yeah.
he's been with me about 9 years. He was 2 months when I adopted.
Yeah.
And you know how many times I wanted to donate him? No one wanted him, so I had to give him. I'm just kidding. I always say, "You want him? Take him." But yeah, no, no, no. It's like I love him so much. Anyway,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay. So, can we touch the base before we jump in the gift? I really wanted to touch
Yeah.
base on repressive and reactive nature of this. I think
Absolutely. Mhm.
the repressive nature is permissive. This is where The permissive people have no real backbone. These are the people, in a sense, that they let others walk all over them without learning anything, and they will agree with you no matter what you say. They mistake hearing for listening, and in doing so, they cut themselves off emotionally from others and from their environment. And then this is one of the deepest forms of emotional repression that does not want to take in the pain, pleasure cycle at any level. So it sacrifices both extremes and settles for a false sense of safety.
Yeah.
Do you have any feeling towards this?
I see it in certain environments in my own past, and I see it with Carly quite a bit, and I see it in others. So I'm aware of it. I don't know. I don't get any like, it doesn't charge me in any certain way, but I'm definitely aware that this exists.
Does it get any reaction out of you? Like, do you want to help? Do you want to hold space? Do you want to jump and change? Or do you actually want to step away?
Oh, depends on the person and the situation. But I like to remind people that they do have a choice in communicating their boundaries more effectively. Because I've been in the place in trying to fit in and trying to do things with to be accepted by others, how I thought people wanted me to be. And then I find myself in an environment where I'm very uncomfortable, and the only thing I can do is just repress, become very permissive, because the alternative is a reaction. Um, and there's times when I've done that too, but in this sense, I offer just like a little moment of reflection for people. Like, oh no, you can say no to that. You don't have to say yes.
Does it help change the way they are?
Usually they have to already be like have some level of awareness
Mm.
to even comprehend it.
So it does come down to awareness
Mhm.
every time. And
So,
also our awareness. These cause the reaction in me. That's why I'm asking. Because you're either totally not having standing for anything on your own, you're following and you agree with everything. Like, this is what happens when people watch TV a lot.
yeah.
They just like literally get like programmed to think that way and don't question it at all. Stand for something. Or you narrow mind yourself where you think everything is wrong other than what you're saying.
Mhm.
And it always causes the reaction in me to, well, I'm biting my tongue as I mature or whatever, as I evolve, or I don't know, as I learn how to stop reacting to it and not cause unnecessary cycle of trying really to help or feeling bad or trying to prove you or give you some sort of other way to think or perspective. It's hard not to me. It's really hard not to have a reaction when I see it
Mhm.
in people.
Mhm. Now, is that because you resonate more with the reactive side? So it's harder for you to comprehend like being repressive?
If I see it in a woman, the warrior me will come out.
Mhm.
And as much as I want to empower them to stand for something, I'm actually scaring them
Mhm.
or making them feel less. So I always have to step away from being protective, which makes me actually step away from saying anything or step away from the situation and the person. In the past, I had many women in the workplaces that were abused actively from husbands and partners, or treated poorly, or they never come back to pick them up from work. She's waiting for an hour and a half, or she would just come and tell me. He grabbed me from my, it's hard for me to even explain this. He grabbed me from my neck and slammed me on the door. And how I cannot not to react. I used to be so angry. I would take it on and add the layer of this, who is this, and like be so involved, to a point where I realized a couple of years ago, where I cannot help you. Like, no matter what I do, first, you won't listen. Second, I cannot help you. The third, this is your path. The second, as much as selfish that it sounds, it's like, this is not my path. And it's almost, I feel so powerless, but I am a pure witnessing like such a repressive nature, where she simply could not stand up. And what's interesting is that I actually had the back-to-back, like, people show up at the gym, like, simply, or at work when I was in Vegas, and women will just come up, and it was just like back to back, and every single woman had an issue with the man who was bigger, stronger, and more aggressive towards them. And I just couldn't take it. And I was like, what am I attracting? Like, why am I always attracting a woman that need help a lot? And it blew my mind. It twisted me a lot, because I'm like, oh my God, like, I need to totally close off, because this is first of all, this is not who I am. Second, I cannot protect these women no matter what. I can give them advice, the hotlines to call, but social help, but that's about it. I can't help them. So it took an effort to actually step away.
Wow. That's a really powerful transformation.
To step away?
Yeah, well, yeah, where you came from and then what you're able to do. Like, that takes, as much as it seems like it takes so much power and effort to be the one that stands up for the oppressed. Like, I think what you accomplished, it's complicated. It's not like it's not
Very
clean,
sensitive.
right? It's like very, yeah, it seems more difficult.
It's a sensitive area when we really want to help, knowing. Now I know I cannot help, which makes it easier for me to really step away. Today I just made a comment, and as rude as it sounds, it is true. And I have to be honest with myself. And I said, you can come to yoga with me. You need the body that will carry all this energy and all the cycles that you're going through. Your body needs the strength. I can show you the body, how to do it, and help you and go with you. But your mind and soul is your problem.
Yeah.
You deal with it. Sound selfish? Yeah, maybe. It's called boundaries. Which is really hard to learn. I'm having a hard time learning them anyway.
Yeah, this is so interesting, because you're reacting to seeing the repressive nature in other women, and you're reacting with, like, I think you'll understand where I'm coming from, but you're reacting, and it was kind of narrow-minded before, where by being oppressed, they always need some assistance, or they always need to come to this place to find the truth of the matter and to stand up for themselves. They always need, it's like there's only one path out, right? Or they maybe narrow-minded in the sense that if someone's coming to you, it was your job always to fix it.
Yeah, which makes me a participant into someone else's story, that it's not mine. As I participate in your story, saying that nothing works, no matter what I do, I have a choice for me to stay in and get sucked in, continue with no exit, or actually exit. And it's very hard to do it when you have the emotional charge from it, and you feel sad, or you feel angry, or you feel so bitter, or you want to punch or the guy, or it's very reactive. So it's like, it's hoping we can get to the empathy level, just to explain what the actual empathy is rather than what we are programmed to think it is. I can never feel what you're feeling.
Yeah.
But I can only sympathize. I cannot be into your body. You can do that. And for me to speak like this, automatically I will be labeled as selfish or cruel or heartless or cold. But that doesn't feel as cold to me because I can only understand my body, my emotions, and what is happening here within. I can never enter your body.
Yeah.
So letting go is harder than staying in.
Right.
And there's a lot of need to be seen or belong. And sometimes that helps, but most of the time it doesn't even help until it actually hits you really hard on your personal level. So instead of seeking someone else to see you, you seek help when you're ready for help. I can't sit here and give you the advice if you're not ready to hear it. I should never ever actually give you any advice rather than just hear you out. So good. Oh my God.
This is discernment, what you're talking about. Is there anything else you want to say on the reactive first before we?
No, just stand for something. That was my note. A note on the side, stand for something, damn it. How can you? If it's not, it's rather if you are not ready for it. You will when you're ready.
Yeah. And the difference, I think, to know whether you're being narrow-minded or permissive versus having discernment. And here it says in the reactive, if you're narrow-minded, then you are filled with pessimism. So it's going to feel different than if you're saying no because you have no hope for your future. You have no hope that an interaction would be positive, that a get-together would be beneficial, that someone asking you for something would lead to a good interaction. Like you're just pessimistic about life. And that has that shadow flavor to it. Versus truly knowing who you are, what's good for you, and what's possible for the other person.
So from whose standpoint are you saying this? From someone who has is repressive nature, or from the other who wants to help? Who should be more discerned?
The one who's aware. I think both can be in that situation. All we can do really, and I think this is what you enabled. I would imagine that by seeking your help, by being an oppressed person, they're looking to you to be like a sort of savior. Initially, you'd step into that role for them or try to be of service. And they didn't find the ability to do it for themselves. But by you just being witness to, like, you're almost reflecting back to them, this is what boundaries look like. Like, I can't solve this for you. It might be a seed that's planted, but someone else can come along and water it, and maybe that actually changed for that person. Maybe they were able to one day stand up for yourself. So I just want to give you hope that, like, it's not cold. It's not selfish. It's, yeah.
The consequences of someone leaving you hanging are what worries me. But again, I have to always come back and pendulate. This is what I'm worried because there's another emotional layer of rejection, abandonment, being alone, all these different layers of emotions we really just keep layering from interaction from other people when we are in need, when we are lost. So as we share the time. So we share the emotional charges, and we are not equipped to deal with them. I don't understand. I really don't know what to do with them. Admittedly, I don't know what to do with mine sometimes, rather than just allowing them to pass through. How can I help others if I don't know what they are? And my sadness is not the same as yours.
Mm-hmm.
You have it in a different way. So when you leave a person like that, and this is what used to give me a lot of weight, that I would go back to the past, get stuck in the past thinking I did something wrong for the other, then now they have to go and fix and carry, not knowing that this is me because I let them. And it's always like whenever you get into interactions directly with the shadow, you get swapped by it. It's like I almost felt in the past, I would always get like absorbed by it so much that the only way for me to get out of it was to separate myself and do it alone and rebuild my strength, rebuild myself. And it was a process of rebuilding the strength within in order to give to the other that I easily lost by just trying to help. So it used to be a major pattern in the past, which is why I'm
Go ahead.
Which is why I'm enjoying the solitude right now.
Oh my goodness. So solitude is one of the tools that you use for rebuilding. Is there anything else? Like if there's another person out there that has the same story and is looking for a way to kind of get out of it.
Taking time. There's no better love than loving self. It's very kind. It's very soft. It's very gentle. I make soups for me in my soul. Slow, on a low heat. I take time to enjoy, to relax, to not think, to write, to read, to play a guitar that I don't know how to play. It's very soft. And it's totally different embodiment of a new gentle way that you can love yourself. But I cannot expect this love from the other. So for me to know that only I can give this to myself is really me taking time to learn how to love myself and try different things that work for me and that soothe me, that make me feel safe, that make me be stronger, make my entire existence strong, including body, mind, soul, heart. Relationships and everything else is secondary. But I cannot do it unless I am sitting here and paying attention to myself. Like almost like in a way where because I am where I am right now in my space, my studio, creating the art for myself, for my life, I don't think I would be able to do this if I am living with my mother, living with my family back home and the culture that I'm from, or living with another here, or being in a relationship. Not at this moment. I think I cannot even give 100% myself to anybody else because I'm not filled 100%.
Beautiful.
So love.
Okay.
Love for self.
Love. All right.
Discernment.
Discernment. Discernment emerges as your emotional nature comes more and more into awareness. As you realize how deeply in the thrall of desire you are, you begin to understand the whole of humanity as well. It begins at an individual level as you come to see how deeply your view of others is connected to your feelings. Only when personal feelings are witnessed and examined can you begin to see things in a more objective manner. Over time, your personal agendas become more lucid and you reclaim the ability to listen to others and the world from a broader perspective.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Feelings. But your feelings, not someone else's.
Yeah. Like journaling, probably, unless you hate writing, it's such a powerful tool. It creates like some distance, some space to separate and see what's happening.
How do you journal? What's your style?
Um, all at once, heavy and fast.
Who are you talking to?
Um, Good question. Maybe my higher self? Hard to say.
Is it the other? You
Yeah,
did
it's
the
yeah.
Have you ever tried to write to you, dear Eric?
Well, what's interesting is it it transmutes into that at times. It's like it starts with like the other, I'm so angry because of this thing, and I'm annoyed, and why isn't the world better? And then it turns into like gentle reminders to me.
Like note to self.
Yeah, like remember.
How about this? Dear Eric, I see that you're annoyed today because you got pissed. I saw you getting pissed today for getting a little irritated because you didn't have time. I see that you wanted your time for yourself and etc. etc. The moment I flipped to writing to myself, I was brutally honest.
Hmm. Yeah, that sounds totally different.
Rather than talk about everybody else, like I keep forgetting to talk about me, to me, not about me, to me.
To me, yeah.
And I addressed every single thing, how lost, how abandoned, how lonely, how fearful, how fearless, how music, like you name it.
Hmm.
Totally different approach.
Hmm.
When you try it, let me know. This will change a lot
Yeah,
of things.
yeah. Hmm.
So, so the gift of discernment is, I think he wraps it up about the optimism and how do we get to the optimistic states.
Hmm.
And he goes, optimism is the gradual swelling of awareness within your solar plexus system, transferred and projected outward into the world. And you always like, you have a couple times said that you emanate. Like, and usually you just bring the
Yeah,
hand and you're like, comes from here and goes out there.
yeah.
Does it feel, does it feel like optimism for you?
Yeah. Uh, yeah, absolutely. And usually the emanation, when I speak of it that way, it's out of a place of pain. It's the origin point of difficulty or pain, and it's like it leads to this emanation out to just having grace and love and understanding and awareness.
So how do you get to that state?
Hmm. I think grace is a big component, like like you mentioned, time and like slowly cooking soup for yourself. And yeah, go ahead.
Bringing back that awareness that you were saying earlier, but
Mhm.
how do you become aware?
Oh, in the first place. Mhm.
Does it hit you out of blue? It just comes to you, right?
Yeah, it's just kind of a happening.
It doesn't have a pattern.
Get your thumb down.
It doesn't have the pattern. It just happens. It almost like it chooses when to make you aware.
Yeah. It.
Yeah, I was just like, yeah, cool, cool. Okay.
And just before that, to touch on it, because this might help people. Um, it's there's before getting to the optimism, there's also an evolution in thought and identification with emotions from the personal level. And he says the mythic level, like which I was like mythic, so it's about myth or like a grand story and maybe the grandest story of existence. So having and there's different things you can do to like shift your perspective up and out or down and in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but to get it away from I am the center of this universe, everything revolves around me.
Mm-hmm. I connected this to Jung's archetypes,
Mm-hmm.
Carl Jung's archetypes, and that are already predetermined at that level of collective consciousness slash unconsciousness
Mm-hmm.
that we already are entering into as part of. So if we look at it from that perspective, is that we're just extension of it,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't come from us up. It's actually part of bigger picture or bigger orchestration.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's a common pattern with the gifts is that it comes along with awareness, a level of awareness. And I think the reason why we read shadows is to take an opportunity to gain awareness of self and where we might be lost so that we can shift to a new perspective.
So we can know when we shifted. Does the shift just happen, or is it like I'm good with shadow? I'm about to enter the gift. uh, you're like, yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. Are you really, let me think of how to word this. Do you believe it's impossible to shift yourself out?
Intentionally?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think it's possible.
Really? What about something as like Jinky 5, impatience to patience?
Is my underlying feeling impatience that now I'm masking with so much effort to become patient? Who am I lying?
Uh, yeah. And you hear this a lot, like, oh, I should be patient. Like, that's not gonna do
You're
it.
you're either or.
Yeah. So it's like a one and zero. It's not a continuum.
It's
Shadow and
not.
gift. Okay.
Yeah. It's almost it feels like we have to tap back and forth with it. I don't think it's like once done and over. Once you hit the CD, you're there.
Okay.
Like Ram Dass, good example. He reached the CD states, many of them, what it seems like, but he tapped into shadows as well when he was there as well. New point of view. I don't know. Is it true?
Hmm.
To me, at this moment, it almost feels impossible not to live without the shadow. But it's almost like once you get that awareness that you are operating on the shadow level, you're like changing your approach towards it, right? I feel like antisocial club.
Mhm.
I'm just gonna make my own soup and chill for until this actually processes its own chemicals in the body. So then I can create. And when I create from the other space of being, I create a juice rather than
Hmm.
pushing myself to be patient when it's just you're more aware of what you're doing and how you're reacting to it, to the environment. That three. to the environment, the relationship you have with everything around you.
Right. So I want to get more examples here. So you have 7?
No, I have 5.
You have 5.
We only did my 5.
You have 9 too?
No, we only did my 5. Oh yeah, I
You
do have 9.
you have 9.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you popped back into inertia, you're saying you'd have a different awareness about it, but the awareness would be of its own accord. It would kind of happen on its own still.
Yes. Yes. Inertia is a shadow of 9. Determination is a gift. I cannot be determined to do anything when I am operating in the shadow. Okay, so let's talk about this. This is important. If your heart is not behind your every act, this is 9. If your heart is not behind your every act, not only do you choose an inappropriate course in life, but you also continually wear down your health. So when I'm operating on the shadow level, I know I'm in the shadow. I'm aware of it. How can I stop it? And he talks in the 1 or 2 second gene key that every shadow is a chemical process that we try to stop and interject all the time, which is actually making the shadow cut on half, suppress, repress, push back until the next time. So we're actually denying our own process of completion for the shadow. So now I am aware of it. So whenever I don't feel good and I wake up shitty, I don't try to fix it and push myself to do the gift, because what I want out of gift is it's coming from a different frequency. Yeah. Speaking of me, I don't know if you can do it. How do you do it? If you can just flip a switch.
I'm not sure. I think the more I'm hearing from you, like I just needed more examples, and I think what you're saying has a lot of merit. Because it's tempting to just look at words and characteristics of those words, like impatience or patience, and say, well, yeah, I can flip that immediately. It's a choice. But the underlying emotional state doesn't flip. It doesn't flip at my will.
Yes. So yeah, you're still operating.
Yeah, I can say I want to be patient, and then I snap at someone for being slow or for getting in the way, or I get mad for something being closed when it needs to be open, whatever it is. It's like I've lost, or what I thought I had, I never actually had.
Yeah, and what you're actually doing is
Repressing.
Operating on the repressing, which is what? Shadow.
Yep. Okay, cool. That was really helpful.
Here we are, empathy, your favorite. Go ahead, Eric.
Okay.
Hey.
Okay. DNA is an incredible substance. It contains all the memories of our entire species and even those earlier life forms from which we descended. Like a fractal shard of God itself, DNA forms the living, vibrating link to the beginning of life on this planet. Even more profoundly, it connects us to the seed from which our very universe first sprouted. It is through this 13th city that information from our collective past can be recovered. Like a kind of cosmic librarian, it has all the access codes to every volume, every ever written on the pages of life. We are not just talking information here, but experience.
Say more.
Yeah. The 13th city can unlock the essence of what it is to experience being a wild panther or a strawberry or a mollusk. This is the power of empathy. Um, so like you mentioned earlier, empathy being a state of being within something. Uh,
Not someone, which we think it's empathy. I need to empathize with you because I went through the same shit that you went through.
that's sympathy. Yeah. Yeah. And the prefix "m" means within, whereas the prefix "sim" means with. So it requires complete dissolution of the individuated self. And once that identification with form has been cut, empathy reveals itself as the background awareness of all living forms. In other words, we really are inside each other.
So let me
Sympathy,
ask this.
yeah, go ahead.
Let me ask you this. How
Yeah.
can someone who is operating on a shadow level be empathic and be inside you? How can I be empathetic
Yeah.
/ how can I enter within you when I'm having a bad day or going through hell in life?
Well, feels like a paradox of a question because when you're identified with your individual self, you can't. Yeah.
Exactly. So when I'm feeling like a shit, there is no way I will help anybody and be empathetic.
Oh, that's interesting.
Vibrationally, I can't enter where you are. Empathy is me actually entering, being capable from this frequency and vibration to enter your body and fully embrace you as whatever that you're going through. How can I see you as something that is the same like me when I don't feel good or I operate on the shadow? My frequency radiates totally like wrong.
What do you think about the background awareness of all living forms?
Of you who is seeking to reach the city? Well, the background awareness of who? The other?
All
Or
living forms of the all.
you mean your question is when we reach to that state of CD frequency and how that looks like to actually be aware of everything that lives as part of us or us being part of it?
Yeah, more on a
No.
like let me ask you to close your eyes and I'll read it to you and then tell me like what it feels like.
Okay.
Okay. Empathy reveals itself as the background awareness of all living forms.
I can't see it.
That's good.
I don't understand it.
Hmm.
Maybe because I'm operating on the shadow level.
Let me just reflect back to you when you were talking about, I'll use like a little Zen here. When I hear background, I hear the white space in a painting, like canvas it's painted on,
Okay,
right?
that's interesting.
Right. Um, and there's a temptation to take empathy and say within, and then say with another person, and then say it is me being able to feel within you. But when I hear this, it doesn't, there's not a subject and object. It's just kind of like, it's like background radiation. Um, very cosmic and very, because truly it's after dissolution of self. So to then say, right, empathy is looking at the other, and then it's like, wait, no, no, who's looking?
When you say it that way, then the body expands to the in space and disappears.
Mm-hmm.
But when you originally read it to me, well, with closed eyes, I saw border and limit, limitation. And also, it's like, what part of the brain is actually thinking this? And will it be the same a minute after? Or will it change? If so, based on what? Empathy is like almost like taking everything that there is and feeling together, blending in and feeling everything, the birds, the trees, the thunder, the soil, the emotions, the wind, the oceans, and becoming one with it all.
Yes. And it's a background. It's not what we see.
Yes. And
It's
I
just,
almost feel like, go ahead.
go.
I almost feel like because I am not at the CD level, I cannot even comprehend it.
Mm-hmm.
When we get to the CD level, this explanation will change of what true empathy is then for us, for
Mm-hmm.
you. If you're operating at that frequency, then your expansion of it, your perception, experience of it will be very different rather than operating at the lower level, gifts and the shadow.
Ironically, though, it won't be yours.
What do you mean?
It can't be yours because the self will be gone,
At
dissolved,
CD level,
dissolved completely. Yeah, there won't be.
you want to be there.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be gone.
Mm-hmm.
I can see you love the CD a lot.
Yeah, it's cute.
And I can see how this CD can confuse a lot of people because we think of it so differently. We think of empathy very differently. We're programmed to think it's totally at the level of shadow. But I cannot feel it. I cannot feel empathy, this empathy, when I'm operating under the shadow.
Yeah.
Same way I cannot be discerned. I cannot practice discernment when I'm operating on the shadow or. So it's like to get to this level of frequency, it's like there's a way to go to get there and understand it on a totally different level.
Hmm. Yeah, and I want to stress, if I can find it.
Here, can I just read? Empathy represents acidic vibration and as such cannot be grasped by the mind because true empathy has nothing whatsoever to do with the mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so much more in the heart, in the body and in the heart. I think I feel that there might be judgment on using the word heart this way, like touchy-feely, like, oh, open your heart until you experience it. And then it's all you know, GNO, like your only experience of empathy then becomes just an expansion, emanation out of your heart and a dissolution of the self, which typically rests what we think of as ourselves here in the mind.
And when you say heart, do you refer to love?
Yes.
The 13 gene key is called listening through love.
Mhm.
Is it coincidental?
Which part?
The 13 gene key is called listening through love.
No, I
The
don't think
front
so.
thing.
This is
Hmm.
this is my experience. This is what
Hmm.
I've been able to download in some way or understand. That this is where it rests, and this is the only way to have an experience of it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Can I read this?
Yes.
This one, I put the note, oh gosh, and it's in the CD. There's a huge fear to be absorbed before you attain a Siddhic state.
Mhm.
In the case of the 13th Siddhi, this involves complete absorption in the universal discord of the shadow. The human interpretation of this fear is the experience of feeling cut off from all that is alive and warm. It is an ice cold zone in which aloneness is experienced as agony.
Mhm.
This sounds to me as that the shadow of this key has to be experienced on such an agonistic level,
Mhm.
so profoundly deep and heavy and ice cold, that in order for you to reach the CD states of empathy.
Yeah, and what does that bring up for you?
The pain is good.
Mhm.
As scary as it is like it's the death and rebirth. And it's almost like, unfortunately, that we have to experience the agony of the life in order to reach any type of higher states. Example, I was in Peru and we had a day and we were just like walking around the city, Lima, and there's this huge church, and I forgot the name of the church, but the church, I've never read the Bible. I'm not super religious. I don't really know what the story is all about, other than just like simple, what the ending of it. So I entered this church, which was huge and covered in a lot of gold. So all the frames, there's like 12 like studs, right, in the middle of the church, beautifully designed. The frescoes are absolutely gorgeous, breathtaking. Every single picture was the step that Jesus took to get through passing. And I didn't know this. I really didn't know until my coworker told me, oh, that this is actually him passing and people helping, including Mary Magdalene and everybody else, like hating him, and while he was carrying the cross and then passed over. So as I am passing by, it has numbers in a Roman numbers, right? So, and I'm looking at the picture and I'm seeing emotions. Phenomenal, phenomenal art. Such a good art. It gave me chills. You can see it in their eyes. The
Mhm.
fear, the agony, the despair, the sadness, the grief, the loss, the fear, the hate, the revenge, the regret, the the movements, like all emotions that there are and that absorb our humanity, that come with us. And that we are capable of doing such an atrocity. Mm-hmm. That we can get to a point where we create genocides and kill each other without thinking twice. That we can get to such a deep, dark states, all of us, to think that wars are fine. That wars just keep continuing and cycling back the same thing. We think we heal it and we pass it, but yet as soon as one empire is over, there's another one that is rising to get to the same exact level of it. So it almost feels like a cycle of a complete destruction, that we are just so lost in it, but yet we are yet to get to the city state. So there must be something that is making us come back again and repeat the same exact cycle over and over and over and over again. It's almost like we're living the same life, the same pain, the same emotional states, the same states of mind, of soul, of everything, yet being stuck in the shadow rather than, and not finding the way to get to the city because we're so lost here and we cannot be aware of this. So this to me means, like, when will we get to the point where we are so aware of what we're doing so much that that state of mind is completely destroyed and it stops the cycle on its own for us to get to the city level.
Yeah. And you, just to help place where you're at, or where you feel the process is at currently and it's unfolding, where do you think we're at? What's left?
I think we're heavily operating on the shadow level. But I also think there's a higher hand poking and poking and poking and poking, as we have a collective unconscious pool. So my pool of where I'm pulling the information from is different from yours. Maybe might not even be the same. It might be collective, but collective for who? For the planet Earth or cosmos and all these galaxies with all the planets inside? Is it everybody's, everyone's and every soul's? Or is it only yours or your own genetic line or whatever that it is? So we are different. We are not the same. We are pulling the information from somewhere. It's something fits you so well, but it cannot fit me. And we're trying to reach the city states. But if you look around, how often do I get in shadow? I'm often operating in shadow of fear, because I don't understand. Excuse me, because I don't understand a lot of things. And I can just get to the gift, get to the shadow, get to the gift, get to the shadow. For me, I don't think I am yet ready to experience any type of city states. But you may be different. To experience them the way they should be experienced. What I think of them right now, it's I don't think I comprehend them correctly. What about you?
Well, I want to ask some more questions.
Keep digging.
So would you say that we're further along than 1,000 years ago? Well, whatever. Than 40 years ago? Than 30 years ago? Or 10? Or do you think we're kind of stagnant and we haven't evolved collectively on Earth?
After finishing Graf's book this morning, I think we're actually doing the opposite. So much that there will be no other way for it to stop unless it's annihilated completely at the shadow level, frequency level. I don't talk civilization and extinction of us as beings. I'm talking annihilation of the shadows that we mentioned before. So much so, it's almost like there's this bubble of pool, as every empire that ever came, full of shadows that led masses. Don't want to name it. I know you know which one am I mentioning. That led the masses towards atrocities.
Mm-hmm.
Disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
Roman Empire disappeared. Napoleon Empire disappeared. Japanese Empire disappeared. Empires and all these different systems that were so pressed, suppressed, repressed, suppressed, but eventually disappeared to nothing. So the density of it, the cycles that we're repeating. There has always been wars. There was maybe not 1 year that there is not war in the planet Earth, since we know historically how to track it. True, false, true. And we keep repeating the same exact cycle again and again and again and again. Are we doing better, regardless of technology? We're trying.
Mm.
And it comes down to this exact thing. The human interpretation of this fear is the experience of feeling cut off from all that is alive and warm. It's an ice cold zone in which aloneness is experienced as agony. We feel alone as never we felt before. Misunderstood, not seen,
Mm-hmm.
repressed, lost, not knowing which way is good way, which way is, what's the truth, but whose truth, where's me, who am I? To me, that feels right now at this moment that we're operating on a heavy shadow level, no matter how much we're trying, which will just explode one day.
If you slow down explosions enough, they start with they start small with 1 point, like little micro explosions, and then
It's a chain reaction.
yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I'm just pointing to that. Like I think we might already be exploding. Like the shadow states might be exploding currently. But it doesn't seem like there's progress being made because of the atrocities, the scale, and the ability to measure them is more prevalent now than ever has been. And I'm not dismissing what's being done in the world, but just that the collective awareness is on some level increasing. There is more awareness now than ever before. And I think that is the evolution. Just awareness itself. Like you said, on an individual level, when you're in the shadow, you can't just switch out. You can't tell yourself to do better. You can't tell yourself to be different today. You just have to feel it and be in it. So to play,
Can I read to you something?
to play the paradox, like, yeah, that's what's happening. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, 1 second. I'm gonna go and get the book.
Okay.
It's very relevant to this. Hold on, Romeo.
While we're waiting for Milica to come back.
Hmm.
Whenever you're ready.
Over the past few years, hundreds of people have expressed the belief that humanity is at crossroads, facing either a collective annihilation or an evolutionary jump in consciousness of unprecedented proportions. It seems that we are all involved in a process that parallels the psychological death and rebirth that so many people have experienced individually in a non-ordinary states of consciousness. If we continue to act out the destructive tendencies from our deep unconscious, we will undoubtedly destroy ourselves and all life on our planet. However, if we succeed in internalizing this process on a large enough scale, it might result in evolutionary progress that can take us far beyond our present condition as we now are from the primates. What he's sorry. So, meaning there's a hope. We can do it on our individual level, which very much moves the entire conscious level. We don't know how much of a scale each of us are doing, but yet we're contributing the best we can. When we're working on our shadows to operate on gift level to reach the CD level eventually. But let me read this to you.
Mm-hmm.
We see the unleashing of enormous aggressive impulses in wars and revolutionary upheavals throughout the world, in the rising criminality, in terrorism, and in race riots. Sexual experiences and behaviors are taking unprecedented forms, manifested as sexual freedom for youngsters, promiscuity, open marriages, gay liberation, sadomasochistic parlors, overtly sexual books, plays, movies, and many others. The demonic element is also becoming increasingly manifest in the modern world. The rising interest in cults and witchcraft, the increasing popularity of books and horror movies with occult themes and crimes attest to that fact. The scatological dimension is evident in the progressive industrial pollution, accumulation of waste products on a global scale, and rapidly deteriorating hygienic conditions in large cities. Meaning, if we're aware, we're very much aware of what we're doing. Can we do anything about it? We're aware of the global warming. We're aware of the homeless problem. We're aware of the major diseases that are eating us alive. We're aware that we're not empathic. We're aware that we're disassociated from ourselves and from others, that we cannot help everyone. The awareness is there, but at some point there's nothing we can do. We cannot stop the pollution. We cannot stop the global warming. We cannot help the planet as much as the trash I'm cleaning from the beach here in Long Beach. Me and all the friends, we cannot stop what is already happening to a point where your awareness is not enough. The earth will just stop. Example, mother will just stop beating. Does it not seem possible that all our efforts at peace fail because none of our present approaches have addressed the dimension which seems to be at the center of the global crisis, the human psyche? There's enough wealth in the world to guarantee a good living standard for everyone on the face of the earth. Similarly, it is not necessary for millions of people to die of diseases for which contemporary medicine has effective remedies. Modern science has the know-how to develop clean and renewable sources of energy and prevent the deterioration of our physical environment. The main obstacle we face as species is found in the present evolutionary level of our consciousness. For this reason, it is important to learn as much as we can about the psychological and spiritual dimensions of the predicament we are all facing. So the awareness of what is happening is there. We cannot deter the fall of it. We cannot stop. We can be aware and shift our perspective to a different levels the best we can. But the question is, how can we? How can I get rid of shadow? Bad news today.
Well, you answered that earlier.
Come back to me.
On an individual level.
Detach. Go solo.
Yeah.
Be alone.
First feel it and use tools to reflect it. and see it from a different perspective.
But I'm not getting rid of it. I'm just processing it. It will come back again. It comes back every 3 weeks. It has actually comes back on Tuesdays, which is really odd. I started noticing the pattern.
Yeah. And if you feel hopeless,
No, I just know it's coming. It's like, I'm gonna have an emotional breakdown. It's about to happen. It's jokes on the side. It's like, but are we getting rid of them?
getting rid of them. Why would you want to get rid of them?
To get to the CD level, to contribute the best we can. Isn't that whole work?
So you want to get to the cities.
It's not the goal, but eventually, aren't we all aiming to the light to get to where we come from?
And you mentioned this earlier, but don't you realize that if you're pointing to the light, you'll never, it's false. It's a false light. That we have to go into the darkness.
Right. I mean, metaphorical light. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's like to the state, a different frequency.
Yeah. So the book that you read, what's the title of it?
Holotropic mind.
Holotropic Mind. Okay, I recognize it.
Yeah, I read this on one of the other CDs too. He's phenomenal. He's good.
Yeah. And it definitely has a like a doomsday bent to it. Did you feel that? Like it's like pushing. It's like very pushy.
Is that what you felt?
Yeah.
Maybe. Or are those the emotions that we're just fearful to admit that are there?
Well, it felt like a presentation of facts to present an argument forward. Like it was like selected, like I'm gonna pull this, I'm gonna pull this to describe the downfall. And I just so if we're pointing to the cities, then we have to go into it. We have to feel that. And is that is that the intention of the author?
No, his intention is to bring awareness to the emotional states that are not processed.
Okay.
That got us to the point where this became our reality, and to really pay attention to how we process and how we understand our own emotions, how we help others understand them, especially through the Western medicine and therapies, especially through the Western medicine, to bring the awareness actually to break the pattern that we're cycling when it comes to help.
Yeah.
To bring us, to get us out of it,
Yeah.
rather than actually continuing with it. But the reason why I read that, because I wanted to where is this? This is 14. Was because of the agony of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm connecting it to, in order for us to get to the city states, the agony of the chaotic mind of the so much of a destruction has to happen where it actually its own, like, it dies completely so it can get rebirthed into the CD frequency.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm tempted to say that it's like pessimistic.
So it's a full of shadow.
Yeah, from the reactive. And it makes sense. Like it's very similar to well, we should do something like what we've done hasn't been working. It's trying to find another way. It's another reaction, and it's out of pessimism. And that was the differentiating factor between reactive discord and then discernment,
Hmm.
which discernment to me shows this is the story of humanity. It's always been this way. We don't deserve any more guilt than our ancestors. Things are different, certainly. And there's books that have been written that have shown, like, they pull data points and show an optimistic story, how things have improved.
Fair.
So
Would
only
you want to
because,
know?
yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say only because um um I see how you just read it and it has affected you, and I just want to offer maybe it is a version of the truth.
Perspective.
Yeah. And then the agony to me is like, it's not that we suck. It's the agony is like, we're actually great, but we still suffer. We're actually highly innovative, yet we still make horrible mistakes. We actually have the capacity for tremendous wealth, yet there are poor people. And actually, rich people are less happy than those with a moderate amount of wealth, say. And I've had
Mm,
personal experiences traveling in Nepal, in a small village in the mountains that just experienced an earthquake and their home was destroyed, this family. And the children were immensely happy. Like, I couldn't describe to you the level of joy they had and happiness. And so the agony is in the human condition, the human story, and our own sense of suffering, our own
mm,
wounding that we bring in. And then it allows us to dissolve this idea that all of all of the brokenness needs to be solved, or it needs to break. And in fact, the agony is it continues. Just a perspective.
the book is not all about it. I think you should read it. It's really good.
Yeah, I
But
want
it's
to.
very sciencey,
Hmm.
and science proves a lot of things, which also operates on the logical mind way of this is what I've seen, this is what I've observed. And he's very good in actually suggesting rather than saying this is it. This is what it is. But it brought me the emotion.
Hmm.
And the emotional reaction to it was very shadow,
Yeah.
which I do not want, I'm aware of and do not want to deny
Hmm. Right.
because it's part of me. And those shadows, almost like they can get triggered by anything. Us denying them that they exist is us denying the part of us, a half of us that exists,
Hmm.
and also operating in circles and spinning in circles. So it feels good to be aware of what is a driver, what is happening, and really not force myself to think optimistic about what I think is also going to I'm almost optimistic in a way that is morbid, like optimistic, morbid, meaning there will be the end, and that end is coming. Now, it sounds pessimistic and like it's almost, it's a, you know, as death, but to me, that's the opportunity for it. That's the optimism for it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Where does your idea of the end come from?
Well, first, every key, and it's almost every key that we did speaks of removal of the shadows, or genetically just completely being done eventually. One, and if I see it as a layered of any shadow, right? So it's almost like the layers and layers and layers are just like almost like getting annihilated or getting done with it. And when I combine the different studies with it, it speaks on a current state of mind or states that we are on the conscious level, which helps me understand that we're operating on the shadow still. We're yet to, which I am honest that I don't understand all the CDs. I am not lying to myself, nor you. I cannot understand their way of explaining empathy. But also my keys are not meant to do that. Yours is meant to do that. Example. So the ending of the cycle, of the story, it almost, at this moment, at this frequency that I'm in right now, seems like it's the way through it.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting.
But I keep saying at this moment, which is very important.
Yeah.
At this moment, when I am very aware on what or that I am operating on a very different frequency from the previous weeks. So I'm not lying to myself about where my frequency is coming from. It's not optimistic.
Mm-hmm. So,
Nor,
go ahead.
Nor it should be at this moment.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I want to challenge myself in a way. Could you ask me a question that it's like I can't think of the question. It's almost like what is the question that you're answering, or it feels like you're answering right now? And can you ask that question to me?
Okay. Eric, do you think that okay, do you think that it's easy for you to tap into the CD states?
No.
Do you think you're operating under one state all the time?
Meaning like one gene key or one,
Gift, shadow versus CD.
and then all 64 within that, or just
General. No aspect in life, just like when you think, you feel, you act, you say, you speak, you feel, you dream. Do you operate on the same state, or do you actually interchange all the states?
yeah, it's changing all the time.
The work that you're doing to elevate yourself to whatever level, does it help get you to the CD state of consistency?
Can you define the work that I'm doing? Like, what would you identify as that?
Your perception of your own evolution.
Does that help me get to more consistent acidic state or higher state? Yes.
Can you remain there
Yes.
for a long time?
Yes.
Is it all the time, or is it just because you are closer to it at the moment?
There's only one way to answer that. It's at the moment.
So at this moment, this is true to you.
Mm-hmm.
Will it be true tomorrow? Okay, let me ask you. Tomorrow doesn't exist, but you passed through past. Was it true 2 days ago?
At some point, it wasn't in my memory.
Can you control it? Can you dial in and press the buttons to get to that point? Can you actually?
No.
Do you think you will get to? Let me rephrase. You're not asking questions. It's hard about this. Is this attaining the Siddhic states your conscious goal for this life? Is all the work that you're doing actually towards going towards this?
Presently.
I think this is beautiful because you're so connected to the higher frequencies, higher level of frequencies, that it's almost hard to be empathetic towards the shadow frequencies. True? False? You can't see them. You don't understand them. That's why you're questioning them.
I'm aware they exist.
But are you operating under a gift or a CD right now at the moment? Discernment or empathy?
This feels very fluid, whereas shadow feels black and white. Shadow and gift feel black and white. This feels more fluid.
Like CD?
Between like it feels like just being between. I almost wonder if the cities have the ability to give you access. Like you said, can you just plug in? I think there's an element of having more access to it once you experience it. That doesn't that doesn't disallow the shadow state, and it doesn't disallow the gift. It almost accepts all three.
Mhm.
Maybe you're not so far.
There's no end goal, I guess. It just is what it is.
Mm-hmm. Can you love all three?
Can I love them?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. I don't know. Can you?
Yes.
How?
Accept them as your own, as part of you.
I I'm almost like feeling like sensations of my brain changing the positions to see where am I located? Am I associated with it or disassociated with it? Is it out of my body or is it within my body? Is my heart beating? And what did I feel on a soma level? And it makes me like stops my breathing.
Mm.
And it makes me just get lost in it.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah, I just want to get lost in it. It's like a lost. Like, is that a form of love? Acceptance? It's just what it is. I
Mm-hmm.
love what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I love all three states, but I love what it is now, even if it's shadow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
My kids are coming home.
Yeah. Whoa, we did this 3 hours almost. Okay,
That was that was lovely. Do you wanna
that was different.
yeah. That was Jinky